Hey guys, welcome back to TPS Talk. I'm your host, Daniel Richardson, joined by Jason Bell. Thank you for joining me again.
Hello.
And this week, our topic is, we're going to kind of touch on it. We touched on it a little bit last week. We're talking about genre blending and how it relates to horror.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I do want to go ahead and throw a huge thank you out to everybody who watched, who's been checking it out. One of our highest viewed videos here on YouTube this past month, so I was really pumped about that. But the other cool thing was, and of course we just did a plug for it, but we're on Anchor FM. And it was never really meant to be podcast per se. It was just a video cast for YouTube. But whenever I was thinking about, well, you get more people to listen to the product, and we threw it on Anchor FM, and actually, because of that, we are now on Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. So, guys, tons of ways you can hear us now. So please keep supporting, keep watching, and share. Get the word out there. Spread the word, spread the love. Jason, are you ready to do this?
I am ready to do this. Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
Genre blending. Before we get to that, you know how we like to do things here. We got little segments we like to talk about.
Yep.
We got some upcoming movies, and I'm lying about that. We got upcoming movie, and I'm probably lying about that because that upcoming movie will probably get pushed back.
August 28th.
Again. Well, that's what it's supposed to, but we don't know if it's, I'm talking about the New Mutants, and the basic plot there is it's kind of set in the world of, the Fox Marvel brand, X-Men. And you got a young group of mutants, and they all seem like they probably got a bit of a dark past, and they are put into this research facility or school or whatever the fuck it is, prison, and they have to kind of start working together, not just to break out, but to also probably survive. You saw the trailer. What'd you think of this?
I did. I like the trailer of this. It looks very action-packed. These people look like people that I may have known like a long time ago, back in my weirder days. So you saw
in their mutant days, right?
Yeah. It definitely looks like something that I will, check out. I don't know if I'll be checking it out at the movies or not because they keep pushing it back when a theater's going to open. But who knows? Maybe we might get lucky and maybe theaters might, open again at some point. I definitely like forward to seeing this. But I will say this. They have been putting these movies on, these newer films on like streaming,
video on demand, and
buy them for rent them for $20.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that for any film. Let me just tell you right now. But I will definitely check it out whenever I am able to. So
I feel like this is now it's Disney, it's no longer Fox, and Disney just announced that they were going to go ahead and release Mulan, the new
$30 to rent it.
But it's going to be on their Disney Plus though, and so.
Well, yeah, but it's still $30 to rent it, right?
I don't think so. I think it was part of their actual.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the streaming thing. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. That was a tentpole movie. Whether if it would have done great or not, no one knows. But that was a big thing. But they've made so much money with Disney Plus in general that they feel like.
Well.
We can actually,
that
recoup
was one
some
of the first night we went to the drive-in back in May. That was one of the previews that was on. Mulan. So I was thinking, oh, okay, we're gonna get to see this at the drive-in. Well, that has not happened yet.
Yeah.
So
well, a lot of places are holding their movies back because they're just they want to make more money. Some movies have pushed forward. I know Bill and Ted is doing the on-demand thing, but it makes me wonder, if New Mutants is gonna get pushed back, hey, it's a movie that Disney didn't care about anyways. Clearly they didn't care about it. They kept pushing it back. They kept, recutting.
It was supposed to come out, April, right?
Yeah, and it's why did they just go ahead and drop it on their service? You know what I mean? I feel like if it's a movie that clearly, at this point, people just want to see it. Good or bad, people are just tired of waiting on it. Right. And it's why not just drop it on your service and just get rid of it?
I mean, there's going to be some movies that they drop on the streaming service and others that they don't.
Yeah.
In, December, the Top Gun's supposed to,
And,
I think they're banking on that to do a huge, box office because it's going to be, Christmas time and everything. I don't know. I mean, studios right now are taking a major hit.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be able to survive, forever without having, theaters probably, because I mean that's where they make a lot of their bank is through like box office.
Well, it's going to be a lot of pivoting. I think they're going to have to learn how to try to survive in a streaming world. I think Disney's the only one that's doing pretty good, and whoever the hell did Trolls World Tour, like that thing cleaned up like gangbusters.
We watched that.
Yeah,
that actually is pretty good.
It is.
I've not watched it.
Well, I mean, you weren't the only one who watched it. It made over 100 million box office. I guess video on demand. So.
Yeah, that was one of the first movies to play at the drive-in. It was that and Doctor Doom, which I don't really recommend that, but
that's the new one with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I got kind of bored and we left about like halfway through it, but
give me Eddie Murphy just talking to Norm Macdonald. I'm happy with that.
There you go.
With New Mutants, I ain't gonna lie, superhero movies just have never been my genre.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't never get into it. The ones I do like tend to be like Batman or Punisher, more. And I can argue this with people all day. I know it's not technically grounded in reality, but I do tend to like the ones that are more vigilantes as opposed to
like Blade.
Nah, we'll get into that later too.
But not Blade.
And the thing is, like, whereas they're trying to push that this has got more of a horror element to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be all that horrorish. I didn't see Doctor Strange, but I feel like they were trying to push it with that too. Morpheus is another one that's coming out that's got that horror twist. But it's like, I don't know. I just don't think you're actually going to be able to pull that off as much. I feel like what you're going to end up is with action horror at best. Adventure more likely be more like a Van Helsing or the Mummy.
You know, like I said about it, it looks very action packed.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's gonna move pretty quick.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it will. And like I said, the only thing it really has going for it, I think the cast. I like that Anna Taylor-Joy. I think is how you pronounce her name. Taylor-Joy.
Yeah. I think so.
From The Witch and Thoroughbreds and what the hell should Split. That's the first big breakout. And like her, and it has the kid from Stranger Things. I forget, Jonathan or something like that. I don't know his real name. But anyways, I like them. And like I said, it looks kind of slick, but it's just like, at the end of the day, it's still just an X-Men movie. And but
it does look kind of like it's got like a Stranger Things kind of vibe to it.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure they're leaning into that. There's a lot of movies are now leaning into that just because it's like, that's a hit. And they're like, well, just get everybody.
Well, like I've talked to some people that are not fans of Stranger Things because they said that they don't like child-led cast.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really particularly care for that when it doesn't work, but with Stranger Things, it works.
Yeah,
so
I've heard that argument too. People are just like, it's a kid's show, and I'm like, well, maybe it is.
But
maybe
it though, it was the same way, right?
But it's
it was the same way.
What's that?
Well, yeah, whenever you look at it too. I mean,
no.
I mean that was like a child.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
coming of age.
That's what I'm saying. To me, I don't really feel like But once again, it's like I grew up in the '80s. Movies like Monster Squad or the Lost Boys or whatever. Just any kind of like young kids fighting bad guys. And so just like I don't know. To me, it's definitely up my alley. So I don't know. The argument that's a kid that's like, well, it's good. It's good. So it doesn't matter if it's made for kids or adults. It's like it's still.
If it's good, it's good. If it works, it works.
Exactly.
And I mean,
So, but yeah, New Mutants should be coming out toward the end of the month. Should be. If not, we'll be having this conversation again later down the road, I guess. So anyways, we're going to move on down to some horror questions from the horror community.
Okay.
And we actually got 2 questions in this week, and both of them from Facebook. So James Smith on Facebook asked, what is the scariest movie you have ever seen? And for me, it changes, I guess, just whatever point I'm at, my life. If you would have asked me as a child, I would have been like Jaws. It would just, scared the shit out of me. Or The Shining even at one point,
Yeah.
I don't know, when I got my teens, when I watched The Ring for the first time, it really fucked with me. But I think at this age, I don't know, like now it's hard to really get a scare out of me. Like even if I get a jump or a jolt when I watch a movie, that doesn't mean it scares me. It just means like, oh shit, you got me, okay, cool. I'm back in it. Like I'm not afraid to look at the screen. The only movie I can think of that would, if you're asking me, 2020, Daniel, what movie scares you the most? It's going to seem like a lame cop-out, but it's more a personal fear. Like, I'll say The Shallows. It's just sharks. I don't fucking like sharks. Even though I love shark movies, and I will always watch shark movies, and I'll continue to watch shark movies, that's the only thing that really scares me. Like, I don't know, ghost movies don't really freak me out, with the exception of maybe... And that's not a movie, it's a miniseries. The House on Haunted Hill was pretty dark.
Oh, that's good.
That was damn good. And that seemed to get under my skin a little bit. But that was less the fact of ghosts. It was just hitting all the right emotional things. But like you said, sharks, I don't know. And there's a lot of scenes in this movie that has tons of jump scares. There's an opening sequence where the kid finds the GoPro camera and he's reviewing it, and it's just a POV shot, and just like the waves are cracking, and then bam, shark comes right out, and I shit myself every single time. So I'm gonna say The Shallows for me. Jason, what is this?
Well,
as of today, I would guess that's the best question to ask is like, what is the scariest movie?
Well, nothing really like scares me anymore. I mean, things disturb me, but not really scare me. And if I was gonna go back and think of a movie that I once thought of as the scariest movie I ever seen, and I've not watched it for a while, The Exorcist would definitely be one that would come to mind, because I remember I watched that for the first time whenever I was like 10 years old, right? And I watched it over at my neighbor's house. He lived about 3 houses down. And after I watched that, I had to walk home by myself. Okay, so I was genuinely frightened. I mean, I was terrified. And I've not watched it for a while. I'm sure if I watched it now, it would disturb me. I don't know if it would scare me all that much, because I don't really get scared by things really. Well, not like on TV anyway. But
No, absolutely.
Not like on the screen. I mean, I do get scared about some things, but not usually on movies or shows. But so The Exorcist, I would say, was a movie at one time that I would have said, oh, that was the scariest movie I've ever seen for sure. So
I think with age, it's just you do change quite a bit. Like when you're a kid, you are scared of the dark, or you're scared to go out there by yourself, or whatever. So movies do tend to be.
It's like haunted houses. Whenever you went to those, whenever you were a kid,
exactly,
you didn't want to go in. You were like, oh, don't make me go. Now I walk in by myself.
It's entertaining,
First person, I'm just kind of like, whoa, hey man, what's going on?
Exactly, no,
and don't scare me.
And really, I think haunted house is a good. Metaphor for horror films in a way, because it's like the same kind of thing. Like I'll
you
give
just kind of laugh and jump.
Good example. I went to Fear Fair a few years ago, and they had this. Of course, at Fear Fair, for those who don't know, and I'm sure they do this every year, but they basically have like different sections that are based on movies.
Seymour?
Seymour, Indiana.
Right,
And so as they have one whole area is a boiler room, Nightmare on Elm Street, and they had this cage door thing in a way, and it looked like this endless hallway. Yeah, I'm sure it's some kind of mirror trick, but I was like, how the hell they do that? Like, it looked really good. Like, you may have been to Fair Fair. It's just like, it's top quality. It's not the rinky-dink fucking, charity haunted house they put on, your local school or, fire department. No, this is like a legit, like, giant warehouse, like, movie quality shit. And so I'm just staring at this, like, and I'm getting like this close to the cage, right? Because I'm just like, I'm fascinated. Yeah. Like at this point now, people are jumping out, and I'm just more like enthralled with the environment. But I get right here to this cage, I'm just like, is this a mirror? By the time Freddy Krueger pops out and hits the cage, and I jump back and I go down, and I'm just like, like it legit made me jump. But like I wasn't scared to go through the rest. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh shit, okay, you got me, you got me, And you go back in. And I feel like that's what horror movies are now. Like, even now, I can watch a movie like The Conjuring or whatever, or Insidious, and you do go, oh, shit, oh, okay. But I'm not going to be doing this the rest of the time. It's like, no, you're back into it.
Yeah, right.
So, even with the Shallows, I guess that's kind of an odd answer, because it's just like, I was never just like, shit, It was like, no, I'm still back into it, but I will say I was definitely more on the edge of my seat throughout the viewing of that, as opposed to if I was watching... I don't know, Annabelle or, whatever, ghost movies, going on out there. So Thank you, James, for the question. And then up next, it was actually my girlfriend. Gave us a charity one. Thank you. Angel Lopez asked us, what's your favorite Chucky movie? So Child's Play, what is your favorite Child's Play movie? Jason, I took the lead last time. Go ahead. What is your favorite Child's Play movie?
Oh, I would probably go with the original one.
Okay.
The, original Child's Play. Yeah, I mean, there are some of those that are not that good, which I see Chucky, looking at me right now.
He's right over there, he's not happy. He's a little pissed for talking about his franchise right now, but yeah.
Well, and I don't know, just like the way the first movie was, it was Charles, Lee Ray, is that his name?
That's it.
And he just kind of put himself in this doll. Which is kind of terrifying. I mean,
oh yeah, no.
I mean that's and after the first one, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, he's in the doll, okay, fine. But so the first one was definitely one that stands out to me as being a classic For sure, because it was, it was a good story. It was original, and yeah.
I remember the first one really freaked me out for a couple of reasons. I always had this odd, aside from sharks, I always had this weird fear of voodoo.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with it. And the scene when he goes back to the guy who kind of taught him to do stuff, and
like
he has the
dummy.
doll, and he just and for whatever reason that freaked me out as a
How do you
kid.
want, like broken leg?
Exactly, and so that always freaked me out as a kid. And then the other thing was just we were talking about child-led movies. Like I was a kid watching this. I think everybody knows what it's like to be a kid. Parents don't, fully believe you. You saw something fantastic, they're like, oh, it's just a kid being stupid or imaginative. And so this movie where this kids tell them, like, I didn't do it, the doll did it. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And they put, like, in a little psych ward. And you're like, holy shit. And then the scene where he's locked up and he looks out the window, you see Chucky coming up the fire escape, and you're like, and he's screaming for help, and all the doctors are like, and it's just
crazy,
like, that literally is the most terrifying thing. Like, there's bars on the window, but they're definitely thin enough for Chucky to slide through it. So it's just like, I don't know, that really was kind of a freaky moment. So as a kid, that'd be one of them that really kind of got to me. But as far as what my favorite Chucky movie is, my favorite Child's Play movie, which when it came out, people loved it, but I noticed as time has gone on, the love for it has kind of gone away. I gotta go Bride Chucky though. I feel like that was
Excellent
the first
soundtrack.
Yeah, you said great soundtrack. And it was definitely riding the influence of Scream at the time, of being very self-referential, and it was just very much, very, very self-aware. And not just that, but they definitely threw a nice little dose of. Because the thing is with the Child's Play movies, there's always an element of humor, especially just because of Chucky's personality. But it was really Bride Chucky where they started embracing the more comical aspects of it.
Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, she does fantastic in this. Always loved
that poster. I mean, you remember seeing that, at the video store, and it said "Chucky gets lucky."
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
I just thought, wow, okay.
And so even now I can go back and watch that, and like I said, it doesn't quite age as well, but it's still a fun watch. And honestly, if I had to pick from the 7 or 8 films that are out there, I'd go, Bride Chucky.
Yeah, for Bride of Chucky, for me the music stands out more because at that time I was into like Motorhead and things, and that soundtrack was just awesome. So
damn good soundtrack.
Yeah.
So we're moving now to the horror battle royal. Thank you, Angel, again for the question, though. We appreciate that. But we're going on to the horror battle royal, and we got lucky because this is me and you this time, but we still have 4 competitors in this thing. Josh's pick last month was Jason Voorhees, but more specifically
Jason X.
Uber Jason. And then Kayla made her selection before, she's ill today, that's why she's not here. So, and then me and you made our selection. So we're going to go ahead and throw them all into this battle royal. And so we'll go ahead and mention, Jason's returning as the champion. And then, of course, we got, I cannot pronounce this dude's name. I didn't see the movie. Dr. Heater from Human Centipede was Kayla's choice.
I've watched that.
So I had no idea how to pronounce that name. So then I went ahead and I threw in Pinhead as mine. My reason being, he really is like Satan's henchman. He's the warden of hell, if you will. He doles out that punishment, everything else. And let's just be realistic, we got to bring Uber Jason down somehow. So I feel like this is the one guy who has a fighting chance right here. So I went Pinhead. You chose Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw series. Go ahead and give us some reasons why.
Well, Leatherface is... he's kind of a mystery, You don't really, it looks like his family's, weird, of course, and it looks like he's been locked up for a while.
Yeah.
He's kind of keep him there and do his thing and all of that. So yeah, I think he's a pretty dangerous guy.
Gotcha.
For sure. I wouldn't want to meet him whenever I was on a Sunday drive or anything, so yeah.
Alright. I like it. So we're gonna put all 4 of these guys, and I think the setting we'll keep it generic with the no budget motif. It's just a house. They're in a house. Uber Jason, Dr. Heater. If I'm mispronouncing this, guys, drop the comment down below, please. Pinhead and Leatherface. So here's the thing. We went to the Twitterverse and asked the horror community there to vote on who they think would win in the battle royal, and so we got them all ranked out here. So since there's only 2 of us, there's going to be more likely that we're going to have tiebreakers.
Right.
And so we will consult the list for the tiebreakers. All right. Out of these 4, I gotta say Dr. Hyder goes out first.
I would agree.
I mean,
I would agree.
I'm just seeing him with a syringe probably. I don't know. I didn't see the movie. He ain't putting these 3 in a human centipede. I'll tell you that right now. So I feel like he's gonna go out first.
Yeah,
You agree? Yeah. So Dr. Hyder goes out. We'll say we'll give Jason the champion the kill here. Just machetes the motherfucker right in half. Just clean cut. Dude falls in 2 pieces and he goes down. Up next, we got Jason Voorhees, Pinhead, Leatherface. Who do you think gets the next elimination? Who's going out next?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Leatherface, I guess, on this one.
Okay.
Just because, Uber Jason is.
He's Uber Jason.
Yeah, and Pinhead, his powers exceed more than just beyond the physical. He does all kinds of weird shit. So I mean, So I think Leatherface at the end of the day is just a man.
Yeah.
He doesn't have superpowers or anything like that. He's not a Superman, but I mean, he's still a badass. With that chainsaw.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Leatherface is probably going down in that case.
I'm gonna have to agree. I think it's all not just for what you just mentioned, but also with the exception of when they did that Leatherface prequel movie, the most recent one. He's always been kind of an idiot, like in all of the incarnations. And I just see he's gonna do the airplane helicopter spin with his chainsaw, but no one's gonna be around. And at this point, like you said, maybe if Hyder was still in the mix, he may get hit with the chainsaw. But I feel like Uber Jason gets hit, it ain't gonna affect him. Yeah. And then Pinhead's just gonna kind of levitate back and just be like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
Well,
so,
and then the sequel, the movie the Texas Chainsaw, you remember that one? Is that the one where he kind of becomes not a villain, but like a
anti-hero almost, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that, kind of like what the hell?
Well, even in the prequel after that, he was still kind of straddling that line because it's the corrupt cops or sheriffs that are trying to take the whole family down, and he's the one.
Because that girl, he wouldn't kill. So now it's like, well, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
See,
after he brutally kills her entire group of friends.
Yeah.
And the thing that I hated about too was they. Not only did that, he kills her boyfriend. Now, we as the audience know that he was cheating on her, but she never finds out. Call that bad screenwriting. But it's so she has no reason to
Maybe she knew, she just didn't want to admit it to herself,
I don't think she did. I'm going to say it's bad writing. But so either way, so Leatherface is out. How's he get eliminated here?
Leatherface? I would say Hellraiser probably takes him out. I would say with some of his.
Pinhead. Gotcha. All right, so now we're down to Jason Voorhees and Pinhead, and I gotta go with Jason getting taken out. I feel like it's we got supernatural, we got the metaphysical, we got the guy who's literally from hell. I feel like I think he's gonna trump it here. I think he's gonna chains are gonna pop out of thin air. They're gonna wrap around him. They don't not kill Jason. But they definitely will send him to hell and take him out of the battle royal, essentially. So I'm going Pinhead. What do you think?
I think Pinhead takes out Jason as well.
And
I was just wanting to comment on something about
go ahead.
Pinhead. Because it was New Line Cinema that did Freddy versus Jason, right?
Yes.
And at the time, your Mirrorbacks, they both owned Myers and Pinhead.
Yeah.
So they were going to do a battle between them at one time.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. I don't know how, and I'm not sure how they would have made that work, but I don't know.
Well, at the time that Dimension was doing it, they were in charge of the whole. They were there during the era of the Thorn, and so there definitely is something you could have done there. Yeah. It would have been good. Who knows?
I just don't know how they would have made it work because.
I mean, it probably would have been quality-wise. Probably would have been that great.
Probably not.
And you would have had at that point Don Pleasance was dead, so I can imagine you lost that. Aspect. Who knows? I mean, I won't say it would be impossible. I'm sure there's a million horror fans out there who have done their own fan fiction that put together and made it work. For me personally, I'm just and see, at one point there's even talks of not how far it actually went because once again they were owned by different studios. But I guess at one point, one of the scripts for Freddy vs. Jason even had Pinhead in it.
Oh well, there was one too, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash.
Yeah.
Which I'm like.
But see, that one though was actually going into development and then before they pulled the plug. But like this was just literally.
I'm just kind of curious at. Why throw? I mean, I understand Freddy and Jason. Why throw Ash in the mix?
I think to have a protagonist we can root for. When you got two villains fighting each other, you're kind of rooting for the kids who have no power and just get wiped out. You throw Ash in there, you got someone who probably can't match up because let's be realistic, he is kind of a bumbling idiot. He's great and he'll survive because he's lucky and he's fucking Ash, but at the same time, you're rooting for him, and I think that's probably the key thing. Did you ever read the comic book?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it worked out good. I mean, had that because the first one. I can't speak for the second one because it kind of sucked. But the first one was actually taken directly from the script that they were going to do initially. So I mean, if that would have been the movie we got,
maybe been okay. I mean,
I think I think you can't go wrong with Bruce Campbell, especially in that. I mean, have him and Freddy banter each other. Oh, it would be great.
Yeah, I mean, that would have probably been funny, I would say, just to see. I mean, just because I'm sure that, like, Ash and Freddy would have exchanged words. And it would have been funny to see.
Oh, it would be great. So there it is. Pinhead wins it. He wins it. Takes it. So there it is. Pinhead moves on as champion, and we'll have a new, fresh battle royal for you next month. So let's get on to our big topic now. We're talking about genre blending in movies, especially when it comes to horror. And I feel like the big thing about this is we touched on it last month. Is with every film, not just with horror, but just anything, it does get stagnant if you try to stay within the confines of your genre. And so you're constantly pushing the edges, pushing the boundaries. So it definitely, it makes sense that you would want to incorporate other things. Like I said, you've seen everything from horror comedies, horror action, horror fantasy,
romance,
sci-fi, romance. Just watched Spring last night, actually, and I don't know if you've seen Spring or not. Damn good movie, kind of a Lovecraftian kind of whatever vibe to it. But it really goes from being somewhat horror. I mean, really, the horror never really takes off. It has horror elements, but it really goes from being this intriguing mystery until like the halfway mark. Whenever I won't say nothing because I won't give anything away if no one's seen it. But when he kind of figures out what's going on, and he doesn't run away, it turns into like it turns into a romantic comedy almost, or I guess a romantic drama, I should say. Not a whole lot of comedy, but it does go that route. So I mean, we've seen there's all these different genres that get kind of mixed in with it. And so, I guess the big question that we're going to ask here is, give us a few examples before we're going to do our top 3. We're going to make it shorter this time, and let us know what if you guys like the longer podcast or the shorter podcast. We won't be doing the 2-hour, 40-minute one this month, but let us know what you thought about that. But we're going to go short this time, so we're doing a top 3 of our favorite genre blended horror films. But before we get to that, throw out a few examples. And you don't have to give out the ones you pick, but give us a few examples of when genre blending with horror works, in your opinion.
Well, Shaun of the Dead. I mean, that's comedy, that's zombie. It's funny. It's. I wouldn't say it's scary because, like I said, I'm not scared of anything. But no. I mean, it works. Another one would be Alien, probably, because I mean that's got sci-fi and some horror-like elements to it. I mean. Yeah, so I mean,
So what makes these work as good blends? Like, what? Well, like you said yourself, like, Shaun of the Dead's definitely more comedy. So how does that work? I guess as opposed to maybe a horror comedy that doesn't exactly. Like, what exactly does make that?
Well, when it comes to like the horror and comedy mixed, it has to be something that's going to be funny, of course. Like zombies, you can make that funny. Vampires, you can make that funny. Now, rape, you can't make that funny. So if you've got a movie about...
If you bring balloons, maybe. I don't know. If it's a clown doing it... I'm joking. Go ahead. You're fine.
I'm just saying, there are certain elements of horror that I've watched that would not blend well with that comedy, okay? Whether it's torture porn, something like that. Yeah, so, I mean, it works whenever it works, and whenever it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So, I mean,
okay.
Is that an answer, or is it? I mean,
no. These are all opinion based, so there's no right or wrong,
Okay, all right.
I think for me, I agree with those examples you give. I think when it comes to horror comedies, the reason they work is because yes, they're hilarious, and that to me, comedy is one of those things that's hard to pull off because like a horror movie. it can go numerous ways. You can either love it because it's scary, or it's just good, or gory, or whatever your preference is. But if it's also bad, you may like it too. It could be like Sharknado, where you're just like, okay, it's kind of a bad film, but I can watch it. A good example of, you go different genre like drama, The Room. The Room, despite what Tommy Wiseau says now, no, it was meant to be a legit drama. It's a bad film, and it's horrible, but that's what makes it fucking brilliant, and it's hilarious and great. And so, once again, it fails as a drama, but it's great as an unintentional comedy.
For what I've heard about The Room,
have you not seen it?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, yeah.
But yeah, for what I've heard, like why he made that movie, because I think about like Ed Wood, and I mean Ed Wood actually had a pretty good following back in the day. His movies actually got like theatrical
releases and stuff.
Yeah. And the whole idea behind The Room, from what I heard, he was like in a traffic jam in like Los Angeles the night of the Golden Globes or something. Mm-hmm. So he thought, well, I'm gonna make my own movie. Just because these guys can make it, I'm gonna make my own movie. And I mean, it's weird because that movie that was made about him, the disaster artist.
Yep.
It's funny because we don't know a lot about this guy still.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a mystery. He's got all this money. How did he get this money?
No idea.
And we don't even know like when he was born, how old he is. He's really, you hear of people that keep their personal lives a mystery.
Yeah.
He takes it to a whole other level.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you have no idea who this guy even is.
Yeah.
And he's been at the Oscars now, the Globes, I think.
Oh yeah. No, he's definitely made his rounds in the inner circles of Hollywood.
He even
for sure.
sells his old underwear online and stuff.
He does. In fact, in the DVD of The Room, it actually has a little postcard for it. But so the point is though is when it fails on a certain level, it can be picked up there. Whereas with comedies, if they fail not being funny, there's nothing else you can really pick it up from that. It's not like you're going, like it's a new Steve Martin comedy coming out, and when it's not funny, it's like no one's gonna be like, it wasn't funny, but goddamn, is that story good? No, it rarely happens like that. A comedy will never fail but be better as a horror film or be better as an unintentional drama. It's like no, it's like
from what I've heard, and I'm not a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you are, but
somewhat. Let's be real.
Well, John Carpenter has said the most difficult movies to make are the comedies.
Yeah.
He said because horror, so much fun. You bring out all this blood, everybody just has a great time.
Yeah.
Drama, but he said comedies are so tough because you will have scenes where people are not supposed to laugh, and something will happen that they all just start laughing. It's just so hard to make.
Well, there's that, but I think also is much like horror is so subjective too. So you try to
think funny,
waka, and everybody just kind of looking at you like that's not funny. You're like, no, seriously.
It's like people that watch the Hangover for the first time, and they said that movie's not funny. I laughed my ass off the first time I watched that movie. I mean, I don't. But see, it's kind of the downside too, because you will never look at that movie the same way the first time you watched it.
Yeah.
Because you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Because so the first time you watch something, you might think, oh man, that was hilarious. Second time, okay, I mean it's still funny, but not as funny as it was the first time around.
And so what I'm getting to is whereas if the comedy of the horror comedy works, then it's great. Mm-hmm. But you got to take the subject matter serious too, and I feel like that's why Shaun of the Dead works.
Yeah.
It's not like Vampire Sucks or any of the horrible films those guys make. No, they take it very. So there's an emotional core to it all. You have dumb fart jokes and goofy humor, but then you have a very serious moment where, he realizes his mom is about to turn, and you have this moment. It's like, holy shit! Like you forget, there's a serious thing here. Ghostbusters, same way. The whole time it's like, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd's cutting jokes, and it's all really funny. But it's like there's a serious threat of these ghosts coming back to Earth and writing havoc and
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Exactly. It's like once again, as goofy as it is, it's like that's still a real threat. I feel like that is how or why horror comedies work. And I feel like with any genre blended combination, you have to kind of appease both sides of it. And that's why scary movies are fun. I never count them as real horror comedies though, because it seems like no, they're definitely just comedies. Mm-hmm. They're dealing with aspects of horror, but it's like I don't really call them horror comedies. They're just comedies. Like they're parodies of comedies. Whereas Shaun of the Dead, I would never call parody. It's like no, it's like it is a zombie movie. It literally works as a zombie movie. It just happens to be fucking hilarious as well. And you can even we could break out horror for a second. Like just keeping with Edgar Wright all together and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Hot Fuzz is another good example. It's like that's a great comedy action.
Yeah.
Once again, fucking hilarious. But they don't take the action goofy. It's not like they're doing slapstick. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like even Jackie Chan, who kicks ass. A lot of his movies can kind of stretch that, like, oh really, like fuck. But with Hot Fuzz, it's like no, you're watching a legit great action film. Just has to be also equally hilarious. World's End, same way. Sci-fi comedy. Once again, it doesn't take away from the sci-fi element at all.
Yeah.
It's still funny. So I feel like when you do genre blending when it comes to horror. You just can't take the horror lightly. You heard people refer to, I don't refer to them as this, I think they're straight up horror, but people will make the argument that like Scream, or even Bride of Chuck you brought up earlier, are horror comedies. And it's like, I don't think so, but at the same time, they are funny, but they don't take the horror lightly. It's still a very serious threat of people being killed or, whatever. And we just have a good amount of
speaking
humor.
of Scream, that movie was originally called Scary Movie.
Yeah.
That's what it was originally called. And before Wes Craven got it, a few other people read the script. I think George Romero did.
Dude?
Sam Raimi
did.
And they thought it was a comedy. Just by and which I can see where some people might think that that's a comedy just by reading the script.
Yeah.
But Sam Raimi, I don't know because Sam Raimi does so good with horror comedy.
Yeah.
Evil Dead,
Slapstick, and
Drag Me to Hell.
Yep.
I mean, he seems like he would have been the guy to do script possibly. But
I feel like if you read the Scream script. I don't know if I would have thought it was a comedy, but I definitely would have figured it was a satire, kind of like a Cabin in the Woods kind of thing. And once again, Cabin in the Woods is another good example of going meta comedy with it, but at the same time, it's like the threat is very real. It's like
you mix a lot of different genres of horror, in Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
They have the zombie, they have the clown, they
exactly.
They have the monsters,
giant snake and a killer unicorn, the merman.
You have the couple that has sex all the time, and
I mean, I can say it. I mean, it literally it has all the comedic elements to it.
It's really an excellent.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. But I think that's another good example of when blending genres works perfectly. It does work good. So let me ask you this then. We'll go to the flip side. Is what are some examples of when genre blending just go wrong? When is genre blending just I'll take the lead on this one. I think I gave you the lead last time. Okay. For me, personally, this is just my opinion. I hate horror action. I hate it. That's why I didn't like Blade. I thought you bet your I'll get that later.
Blade,
wasn't a fan. I don't like the Underworld movies. To me, it's just I want horror. Now, there are certain exceptions to the rule. I'm a fan of the Resident Evil movies. And I'll consider that a guilty pleasure.
That's probably because you like the video games, right?
No, hated the video games.
Okay,
hated the video game. No, I think honestly I like zombies, and that's at a time when zombies didn't come back yet. Everybody kind of forgets. Now it's zombies are fucking everywhere. There was a time when there was no zombies ever. And when Resident Evil came out, that's everybody wants to credit Land of the Dead or Shaun of the Dead or even the Dawn of the Dead remake with bringing it back, sort of. Even then, it still took until Walking Dead to really bring it back full force. Mm-hmm. But 2002, Resident Evil was the first time it's shit, we hadn't had zombies on the big screen in ever. Mm-hmm. Fucking ever. In America, we hadn't had them since the 80s. Fucking, Europe was still doing them in the 90s a little bit, but not much. Yeah. So I think that's why I give Resident Evil that pass. And even the zombies became the back story, and it'd just be no, we're more like the mutants and the crazy genetic hybrids. Mm-hmm. But no, horror action, I just never could get into. I'm if you're gonna be an action movie, be an action movie. You're gonna be horror. Don't try to mix them. I will give Van Helsing or The Mummy. Only because they feel less action and more adventure, I guess, and it's adventure horror. Even that's kind of
pushing it.
Yeah, but that's my. And then again, there are times when you do comedies. I've seen my fair share of just low budget, straight to video horror movies that are trying to be funny, and it's just it fails on being funny, and then it's poorly made, so it doesn't even work on the horror level. And it's just they're bad. I saw a movie one time. I forget the name of it. Man, I don't know. But the movie was a weird. It was Night of the Living Dead. It's shot in black and white. It's then 95, but it's shot in black and white. But the kids, when they become infected, their heads turn into pimples. big zits. And that's how, and the whole thing was supposed to be like this wacky, I don't know. It was bad. It was just like,
I've seen that.
And I saw, I mean, I don't even know, I doubt even got DVD release. I found it like on VHS at there's an old video store in Mitchell called Bookery Video, and it was just like,
Bookery, yeah.
And so I found it there one day, and I was like, I'll check it out. And it was the worst, $3 I ever spent. And literally, but as I'm reading the cover, it's just like, it had
Did you
all this,
buy it or did you rent it?
I rented it.
Yeah.
And so it had all this critical praise. I guess like at one point George Romero even dropped a quote saying like, this is one of the best homages to my films ever. And I'm like, oh shit, let me check it out. And then I watched it, I was like, what the fuck?
Did he watch the film? Or
I don't think he did. I think they probably paid him. He just like, yeah, go ahead, use my name, I don't care. Or they didn't even ask him, they just did it. He's never gonna see it. No one's ever heard of this movie, But anyway, so yeah, I just feel like those are definitely the examples. So for you, like when does genre blending not work?
I pretty much, I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of like action horror either. Movies like you mentioned, and also I would mention like Silent Hill. If you watch those movies, that's kind of like a action horror type thing going on there. I'm not really a big fan of that. So, I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with you.
Gotcha. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get to our main event. We're going to do our top 3 genre-blended horror films. And we'll do what we did last time. We'll start off with number 3, and we'll just kind of go back and forth with it. For me, I got to go at number 3. And this is actually a lot tougher than I thought because there's so many movies. We just mentioned Cabin in the Woods, and I feel like that should probably be in my top 3, and I don't have it there. And I'm not going to drop anything for it, but it's like, goddamn, it's up there. Yeah. For me, number 3, I got Mulholland Drive. Now, that is arguably not a horror film at all, and I would completely agree. It's just not. But there's enough elements, and have you seen Mulholland Drive?
Yeah.
One of the best scenes in the movie is early on. I actually just shared something on Facebook about this actually recently. There's a scene in the Winky's Cafe or Diner where these 2 cops are sitting there and one cop's just talking about his dream and he's just going on. But I mean, just the way you're hearing it with him, and it really is like it's a very mundane type dream. It's just like hearing anybody else ramble about their shitty dream. You don't really care, but at the same time, there's some kind of dark element to it. And then as the other cop goes to pay, you're seeing the dream is starting to play out a little bit. And when they go out, he goes behind the building. Because in his dream, he's talking about how he went behind the building. There's this evil person that was watching him there. And as he's walking back there, bam, this homeless guy pops out. It's one of the scariest scenes in cinema history, period. And I remember the first time I saw Mulholland Drive, because I'm a big David Lynch fan. But at this point, I was still going through the filmography, checking stuff out. And I'm literally in my living room at my old apartment. And I'm sitting there, and I'm in the floor, and the TV's right there, and I'm just watching. And that scene pops up, and I literally jump. I had to stop, I had to pause it, because I was like, holy, what the fuck, And I don't know, I can't explain it. It affected me. So much so that the rest of the movie, which this is more like a weird mystery drama, I guess. I mean, I can't, it's Lynch, so if you know David Lynch, you know what I'm talking about. It's definitely, it's a surreal drama, I guess the best way to describe it. But I'm on edge the entire fucking movie, because I'm like, it's going to happen again. He's going to have that insane, crazy jump scare come back, or something's going to happen. And so I'm literally freaked out the entire movie, and nothing ever happens. Spoiler alert. It fucking came out in 96 or 2001, so, you had time to watch it. But hold on, I'm literally just like, what the fuck? And once again, a guy who went out and made a drama, or a mystery, whatever you want to call it, but then he was able to take elements of horror. And Lynch does that quite a bit. Twin Peaks is another good example. Anytime he would direct the episodes, even Twin Peaks as the most melodramatic, would still deliver some weird shocks and scares. And same thing, it always put me on edge. I'd be like, shit, now I gotta pay attention because I know once she's directing this episode, it's gonna be insane. So yeah, Mulholland Drive. What'd you think of Mulholland Drive?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I've not actually watched it probably since it came out, in 2001.
Yeah, 2001.
I mean, I need to watch it again, I guess. But no, I don't know if I would classify it as a horror film.
No, it definitely isn't.
I mean,
it's in my mystery section, so.
Yeah, but I mean, no, it's definitely good. So if you've never seen it before, definitely check it out for all the reasons that he highlights here. So.
What's your number 3?
Well, I've got it right here. Dead Alive, also known as Brain Dead, I think, in Australia and places.
New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah, and well, there's a story behind this movie. This is kind of a hard movie to find if you've never seen it. I remember seeing this movie a lot whenever, I was in the video store back whenever, I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I never rented it because it never really jumped out at me.
Yeah.
It was just kind of oh, there's somebody that's got something in its mouth. Okay, fine.
Look at this guy.
So, I actually checked this out for the first time.
Come on here.
I actually, checked this out for the first time. Whatever, Lord. Well, because see, I was kind of curious because see, he had Lord of the Rings, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And so I kind of thought, okay, Peter Jackson, what else has he done?
Yeah.
I don't. So I started looking, and I found this film, Dead Alive, and yeah, it is. He's talked about you're releasing it like in 4K, which I think this would be an excellent movie, like in 4K. It's just one of those movies. It's funny, and it's probably, as it says here, probably one of the goriest films ever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, it is extremely freaking disgusting, which is why I love it. So, yeah, I mean, so if you've never seen this, like I said, it's kind of hard to find, but definitely, check this out if you've never seen it. Have you seen Dead Alive, Dan?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
But before you move on, so give us the reason it's a genre-blended film.
Oh, well.
That's what. Yeah, that's the topic. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But it definitely has, like the gore and the scares. That's definitely it as well. So
the subgenre that is popularized. Thank you. Here is Splatstick, and Sam Raimi did it with Evil Dead, especially Evil Dead 2, more so. And so same thing here. And the big scene, everybody remembers is the lawnmower scene when he just fucking revs it up and starts mowing down zombies.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I have seen this. I'm not as huge on it as most people are. In fact, in the horror community, this is like, much like Evil Dead 2, it's like, this is it.
Yeah.
I honestly, it's not bad. I wouldn't give it a thumbs down. It's one of those, though, I've seen it like once or twice, and I never had desire to really pick it up. But that goes for a lot of his early stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Bad Taste was another one that
Yeah.
I honestly just could not get into. And yeah, it's sick and gross and bloody, and just like, I don't know, the look of it just it just seems weird. Like, how did this fucking get on and do like who watched these movies and just like, we should give our billion-dollar franchise to? The guy who did Meet the Feebles and
I was gonna say,
Dead Alive.
Peter Jackson. It's kind of crazy to think that he's won Oscars and everything for like Lord of the Rings, and you go back and you watch something like this. You don't expect this to be a Peter Jackson film.
No.
You know what I mean? Peter Jackson is a weird director because you watch Lord of the Rings and you're like, man, this is a really great director. And then you watch The Hobbit and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Who the fuck did they?
Well, you're right though. The Lovely Bones. That's another one. Where I'm just like, what the? It's like, and I know he's trying to cash. I mean,
And I hated that movie.
I wouldn't dig on it.
I hated it. The Lovely Bones. It's beautifully directed. It's beautifully filmed.
Yeah.
My suggestion for the Lovely Bones would be like turn the sound down or put it on or you put it on a language that you don't speak, and just kind of have it on like in the background just to look at all the visuals and stuff.
I feel like it's nicely shot, but it's just like I'm not a teenage girl. I feel like that's definitely a movie that was aimed at teenage girls. It's from her perspective, and it's just like.
I think what he talked about, he was a fan of the story, and. Yeah, so he wanted to make the movie, which there's some books that just don't need to be on the screen.
I mean, I'm not saying it didn't need to be made. I mean, for what it is, it's an okay movie for that genre, I guess. Just for me personally, didn't care for it.
It just didn't seem like a Peter Jackson movie to me. But then again, like
what is a Peter Jackson movie?
But yeah, then again, like he said.
The other flip side of that is another kind of nice genre blended film is Frighteners, which I fucking love, which is Peter Jackson.
Right.
And once again, we got nice fantasy comedy aspect, but then they bring the horror as well.
See, and he has talked about that. I don't know if it's going to be a box set or what. If it is, I'm totally in. But some of his probably this and probably some of the other stuff.
His big trilogy from New Zealand was Meet the Feebles, Bad Taste, and Dead Alive. So.
Yeah, so they've talked about making like a 4K box set, and this probably would look pretty cool like in 4K. I mean, it probably would just because of the gore and everything. It probably would look cool So
before we go any further, we had a late arrival. Josh, welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and just kind of catch you up to speed. Genre blending.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on this? And we'll just we'll backtrack a little bit. We won't worry. I will inform you. Jason Voorhees has been eliminated. we had to wait till you were gone to get him out, but
That's the only reason.
Pinhead beat him. Pinhead beat him. So
okay, I can see how...
Chains came out of hell, dragged him down. It's
Alright, so at least for a temporary,
yeah.
I'll give you a little bit, except that Hellraiser himself was put down
by a young girl who's crying.
Well, no, he in the end, at the end of the Hellraiser timeline, it's much similar to Jason X, his story, where it's way in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bloodlines.
That's one of my favorite Hellraisers.
I love that Hellraiser only because the past storyline and Adam Scott plays the character.
Yeah,
and I just love Adam Scott when he's playing serious roles because he wasn't known as the stepbrother, or Derek yet. And so it's just funny to see him play like a serious role. And you're like, come on, buddy.
What was that like digital movie that they had, like the Hellraiser digital?
Hellworld. That was the website, yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
So, anyways, we won't go back to the questions or anything.
Cavill, though.
Yeah, Superman's in it. But we will. Just pertaining to the main topic, I'll ask you, we were talking about, genre blending. When does it work for you, and why does it work? And I guess, when does it not work, and why?
It works when it works. I think that's the thing for anything. Everything works when it works. Mostly it works when you have a director that is actually passionate about multiple genres.
Yeah.
Specifically, I think of like Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Where he blends a lot of horror.
We brought up the entire
thoughts. Yeah, it's just, he's really passionate about both, and you can see both lanes. Jordan Peele.
Well, then, like I was telling him, I think reason why those work is because he takes both genres seriously. It's not just a goofy parody. Like I said, I like Scary Movie, but I never consider it a horror comedy because it's like, no, it's just a comedy. There's no horror element to it. Whereas like Shaun of the Dead, yeah, it's hilarious. It's fucking brilliant, but it's also a zombie movie. It's a lot of emotion there. So,
like Zombieland, I think they do a really good job of handling both, putting a foot in both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without losing either too integrally. I don't know. It really depends on your cast. I think everything has to go right.
That's
but it's just about being passionate about what you're doing and not just.
When does it not work for you?
If
examples.
If it's like a cash grab, like I think, in a way, the like new DC verse kind of did a blended genre. They're like doing that moody, dark movie and then mixing it with superheroes. And that's sort of a blend. That's where I think it really doesn't work because it feels like a cash grab.
Yeah.
Because The Dark Knight was so good.
Gritty, yeah.
And it was so gritty and it was like, oh, that's really good. Let's blend our darkness in with our superheroes.
Well, what's funny about, Dark Knight too, when Dark Knight came out and just blew everybody away, at that point, they already had several Marvel movies out, and they were showing, like, every trailer was very lighthearted, like, we're Marvel, here it is. And then as soon as that came out, they're like, we're serious now. I mean, watch Iron Man trailers 1 and 2, and then watch Iron Man 3, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, they're trying to, like, bring the emotion, bring that shit out. It's just like, All right, we already did our top 3. Do you have your top 3 ready?
My top 3,
yes. Your third one.
My number 3?
My 3 was Mulholland Drive, and his was Dead Alive. What's your 3?
Okay, so if I had to pick a number 3, and I'm kind of a little bit going off the top of that, I'm going to go with Her.
Her?
Yeah, Her is a blend of like sci-fi romance, just because I think mostly the setting and kind of how it facilitates the relationship, kind of dealing with AI and that sort of thing. It's really mostly about just relationships, I think, when it comes down to it. But
so you're not doing horror top 3 genre blending?
Blended,
okay.
Oh, does it have to be horror?
I thought
you didn't say that specifically.
Well, this is your top. This was your top. So
it's got to be horror.
I thought you said. Okay, my bad.
Do you want
doesn't
horror?
But I think Her does have some elements of horror, right?
No.
Well,
not really.
Well, but I mean, no.
There's certain aspects of like dark human nature, but at the same time,
maybe like loneliness.
Yeah,
and more falling in love with AI.
Well,
okay, so blended with horror.
Well, once again, this was your. So I guess I should specify. I told you last month.
I think Her works for that.
Yeah, no. Do your top 3. No, 3 times that's fine. Now I was like, I went horror with mine. I told him to go horror with his. So I don't know what you said, but my bad.
I don't remember if I specifically said that or not.
That's all right.
If I did and misled you, I
it's all good. It's all good.
Because I can come up with a blended horror. It's not that difficult.
No. You're good, man. You're fine.
Okay, well that would be my first blended, and I think as I move forward in this list, you'll get some blended horror. That was just one that like I think is really good blended.
No, I loved Her.
Yeah.
In fact, My favorite movie of all time, and even though I'm a horror guy, my favorite movie of all time is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's just,
Oh, I love that
That's
movie.
the movie that
Yeah.
just, and
I think that's a blend of horror.
absolutely. Well, definitely more so, especially because of the psychological and how everything messed
I
up.
can actually see like whenever I was younger, that would have like benefited me in some cases, like breaking up with somebody or something like that. Just erase it,
Well, and the thing is, the reason I saw that, blew me away. But I've always been chasing that movie. Kind of like Kevin Smith chasing Amy. I'm chasing Eternal Sunshine, and so I've been watching.
Coming out with something new. So.
And so I'm always watching movies like that, but nothing's quite hit that level.
Yeah.
And when I saw her, I was like, will this be the same? Will it not? And I stayed away initially, and I don't remember who it was. I can't remember if we've already met at this point, if I've already seen it when we first
I think I
talking.
pushed you back into it.
Could have been.
Maybe?
I know a friend of mine was all about it, and so I finally was like, all right, I want to check it out. And then, because I'm a big Joaquin Phoenix fan too, and when I watched it the first time, it was like, fuck, this was Eternal Sunshine cranked up. Like, it really was. Like, I still like Eternal Sunshine more, but I think this one has definitely a more emotional punch to it, I guess. I don't know. They're both fucking right there. But no, I loved her. What'd you think of her?
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was well done. Like it was well acted.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, it's one of those movies that kind of like, jerks at your like tear ducts.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, it has an emotional.
You know
punch
what
for
I
sure.
mean? So, I mean, yeah. But no, very good film. Very good film.
I love how awkward it is too. Not to go away from him too quickly, because there's like. He's really obsessed with pregnant chicks.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He thinks that's hot, and not that
They
that's
have
a
that
weird
glowing
thing for
thing.
anyone.
No,
That's
no,
just
yeah.
a fetish in general.
Well, but they have that glowing thing about them.
Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
there's so much like. Okay, it's awkward in the sense that you always have privy to his entire life.
Yeah.
Like, in and out, when he's awkwardly masturbating or on the phone is like.
Well, it shows us kind of, once again, no one would ever admit this, but like, my God, you've been to porn sites. They have a trillion fucking subgenres. People are into weird things. That's just all there is to it. And there is a preggo section. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, most people are like, no, man, just regular porn.
Yeah, just.
Or you throw in like the F-ness, and like, yeah, just watch it. It's fine, it is what it is. But like, no one's going to be like, no, seriously, pregnant chicks, no one's gonna admit that. But when you're behind closed doors and you're by yourself, you're just like, fucking pregnant chicks, let's go for it. And I feel like that kind of, it's that honesty about real life. And I'm not trying to jerk myself off here, but when I did self-isolation and the whole masturbation scenes in there, I was exploring the different weird shit a person be masturbating to as they're mentally going insane. And so it is kind of the same thing. It's like, once again, when you look in on somebody like, what the fuck are you watching? It's the same thing. He's into his, he has his own thing, There's nothing wrong with that, As long as you're not hurting anybody, it's not illegal, by all means, do your thing. But, yeah.
That and visuals, because that movie, find me another movie that looks like it. Like
Spike Jonze, man, he's just a great director. Adaptation,
Just
being John Malkovich, the guy just...
Spike Jonze movies are great,
Yeah.
but it doesn't even look like that movie. That movie has such a specific aesthetic to it that it's almost got this like Apple look to it, like super trendy.
The color palette, it's sleek.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know,
It's so pretty.
Yeah, it really is. No, it's a really well done thing. No,
it's like a dream.
Her is great.
It's a dreamy looking movie.
Yeah, I love it. What's your number 2?
Army of Darkness. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
What do you like about it, and what genres are we blending up here? What's this?
Well, your comedy and horror, I guess, in some ways. I mean, this here, of course, you know how like part 2 is. He gets swallowed up by the hole and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so he ends up at like the 13th century or whatever, where he's being like...
Back in the Middle Ages? And
he's being like, led to his death and everything, and they think that his car's like a piece of armor because they're trying like, what the hell is this thing, So, and he's just... I mean, it's just one of those things that they have to fight this army that's already dead.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you beat like an army that's already dead?
The Army of Darkness.
So it's like, I mean, and it works just like the other, films work in the series. I mean, it's just one of those things that, like Ash, I mean, he's kind of a buffoon.
Yeah, oh yeah, no,
he's
that's what we love about it. That's
but
what we
he's
root
that,
for him.
but you're always like cheering for the guy because you're always like, look, he's just like me. He's the ordinary guy, works at like S-Mart,
Oh yeah.
And at this one, I think actually they have like different endings to this the Army of Darkness. This is the one I think where he sleeps too long.
Yeah.
And he like wakes up and I slept too long, And then there's one where he just like is back at like S-Mart and he's like the king of S-Mart.
Yeah.
Like your King Ash.
That
maybe.
was the
That's the
theatrical
original
version. Yeah.
So and this is and I don't know. I may get some hate for this, but Army of Darkness, I think, out of the Evil Dead series, this might be one of the more popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
That you hear talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Like people like talk it up all the time. And I mean, I've talked to some people that just can't get into it.
Really?
They're just like, I just can't get into it. Like, Evil Dead's good, Evil Dead 2, but I just can't get into Army of Darkness. Because, this is different from the others. But no, I think it's well done. I think. And I actually bought this years ago when it was brand new, like at Suncoast Video. And I just love this movie, so.
Oh, yeah.
Army of Darkness.
What'd you think of Army of Darkness?
If you don't like Army of Darkness, you probably have a dick up your ass.
I will say, I love that movie. I can't imagine anybody not liking it.
It's
really.
my favorite of the trilogy.
Yeah.
I think Evil Dead 2 is one of the biggest wastes of time ever.
Very overrated.
I would much rather watch
I've never
Evil Dead
been-
1 and then skip straight to Army of Darkness.
I've done that.
Now I can go back and watch Evil Dead 2 just by itself because that's how I watch it. It's an alternate universe,
Yeah.
a different take.
I feel like
it's fun.
they're all like that though, because they all, when they go to the next one,
no continuity.
yeah, there's none.
And I will say something. Because, like at the drive-in, they played both the Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness a few weeks ago. And my wife asked me, why don't they play Evil Dead 2? Would that be better? I'm like, no, honey, no.
Yeah.
See, no. Because, Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness, it goes in, they go together better. See, Evil Dead 2, and it shows, in this movie, it pretty much shows what happened in Part 2. See, so...
Yeah, no.
Part 2 is pretty much a replica of Part 1.
Yeah.
Except for the very end where he gets swallowed up by the black hole.
And that's what I hate about Part 2 too, is like they just got rid of the entire group of friends. It just turned into Ash and his girlfriend going up there. It's like, well, wait a minute, you had your sister,
but
you
then
had
they
two
still
friends,
have people
but
show up later.
Well, I was saying, because then, well, not just that, but then like in the Ash versus the Evil Dead series, they reconned that even, and he's like, oh no, his sister was there. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and
see,
the way they each end too, like
Slashy.
at the end of 2, he goes back and he's praised.
Yeah.
They're like, he's like, what? And they're like, oh, he came from the heaven. And then at the beginning of Army of Darkness, he's a slave, and it's just like they don't.
See, and that's like what Josh was saying. See, Evil Dead 2 in that way was unnecessary.
Yeah.
You could go straight from like an Evil Dead
Yeah.
straight to the Army of Darkness because
Absolutely.
Evil Dead 2, you're pretty much watching the same movie
That's
over
it.
again. So I mean,
There needs to be a crazy cut where they just kind of try to make more continuity out of all of it, and literally take the aspects of 2, like his hand getting lopped off, obviously is pretty vital in Army of Darkness. So it's like, keep the elements that would go on, but then somehow edit it all together and make one definitive cut.
there's also a
The
steel
Evil
book.
Dead supercut.
Exactly.
Well, there's a steel book coming out like at Best Buy next month, which I've already pre-ordered. That it's Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2. So I don't know if they have like
if it's a different cut or if
it's
just
something like that. But it's like it's in 4K for the first time, so I'm excited.
For me, yeah, I agree with you. This is my favorite of the series. In fact, I didn't even, I told you this story before, but I don't know if I told you this on the podcast last month or not, but anyway, the first time I watched Army of Darkness, I just thought it was brilliant. And to me, you're right, it's definitely blended, it's, got horror. But to me, it's a comedy, like it's in my comedy section. The Evil Dead's over here in the horror section, because they're two different things. But,
which copy of like Army of Darkness?
I got the, I don't have the director's cut. No, I do. I got the boomstick edition. Yeah, never mind. I do have a director's cut. Yeah, I got both of them. But anyways, the first time I found out that Evil Dead, my uncle's just like, you like Army of Darkness? He goes, that's actually Part 3. There's 2 others. I'm like, oh, great. And so, I'm a teenager, maybe even younger. I might be like 12. I don't know. This came out like 93, I think, something like that. 93, 94, 19?
Yeah, I think.
Either way, I was
yeah.
I was a kid. And so, I'm Saturday night, I get up, I'm by myself in my room, and I'm like, Evil Dead, here we go. Time for some hilarious hijinks, and literally scared the shit out of me. I'm like, oh my god, so it was a weird thing, and I think that's why 2 doesn't play for me. And we'll go back to genres that are blending that doesn't work. Is I don't know, 2 is just too goofy. It's like it doesn't commit to horror or comedy. It's just a weird blobby mess of
and like
bones.
Ash, somebody like that in real life would have been killed instantly. I mean,
well, yeah, I'm okay with the.
you know what I mean?
It's like, it's just I don't. To me, just the vibe is what sets off two for me. But that's just me. But no, Army of Darkness, I'll agree. It's great. What's your number 2?
My number 2 blended film is Spring.
Spring.
Yeah, Spring is so good. It is horror mixed with a romantic getaway film, mixed with sort of just coming of age type.
Trying
film.
to find yourself and
about finding yourself, kind of looking at personal history and just cool, really weird angle of a romantic horror movie that I've never seen ever. So it's just so good, and it's maybe my favorite of the trilogy by those brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I watched it last night actually. This guy was like, before you do the show, you need to watch the movie, which is what irritated me because you weren't here, and I was like, motherfucker. So I made sure to bring it up earlier. I was like, we're bringing up Spring one way or another, so we've already touched on it. But to reiterate, no, I was really blown away, and what I liked about it was because honestly, the horror element is more downplayed. Because honestly, it's definitely more drama. And like I was telling him, and like I don't want, I think everybody should go check this out. So I won't give away too much, but it's like when you get to like even the halfway point when he is now aware and he doesn't run, the movie shifts from being this kind of odd mystery drama to like, you know, what's this dark secret she's hiding? And we even when we as the audience know something's up, we see little glimpses here and there. He doesn't, but as soon as he finds out, it shifts to being this romance road movie where now they're on the run together and they're trying to make it work, and
it's kind of a race against the clock.
It kind of I mean, and so that's what I'm saying. It becomes this totally different monster altogether. But there's still those moments like and I mean I don't want to cheapen it by saying they're jump scared, but they are. They're like the scene where they're talking in the little mausoleum with all the statues, and when she races up, her face is all messed up, and there's a quick they add sound effects. I mean, it was an intended jump scare, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't feel. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's almost like that element of horror is still prevalent. It's still there under the surface, but at the same time, it's under the surface. Everything else is what's on top of it. And
every scare in the movie I feel like is good because it's not like Sinister, where when she's scaring the protagonist.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're supposed to feel that
because
emotion.
we're in the eyes of him.
Yeah.
We're on the journey with him. So no, absolutely.
He does that well.
No, I didn't want to say. I didn't want to cheapen it by saying jump scare because when you say jump scare, it's always got a negative connotation. It's like no, that's not what I'm saying because it's effective. There are good jump scares out there, and that was one of them. I can say because I mean it's an emotional thing, and I feel like they're not brothers. They might as well be.
Oh man, they feel like brothers.
Yeah, no, Benson and Moorhead, they're great.
That's right.
Endless. I still haven't seen Resonance, which I'm definitely going to check it out, especially now after seeing Spring.
Resolution.
Or Resolution, that's what I was going to say. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so, Endless was incredible. Another example of just. I'm not sure if that was even on anybody's list or not. I hope I didn't jump ahead. Okay, it's not Endless. But anyways, no, it was another example of like. The movie itself, I mean, it's hard to even classify as a horror film because there's nothing horrifying happening. It's a drama about two brothers trying to reconnect with their past, trying to move past it, they had this weird experience with this cult, and just there's weird supernatural elements happening, but at the same time, it's like there's nothing horror, but there is this undercurrent underneath it where you're just, you're kind of on edge. And like I think I explained this last month, was the scene where they go underwater, or the woman underwater. I don't know why, I am on edge that entire scene. I'm just like, fucking come up, or what's gonna pop out? I kept waiting for it, and when nothing happens, you're just relieved, but at the same time, you're like, dude, there was something down there. And so, I don't know, they have a great way of, I don't know, blending the genres.
So,
they really do, and the fact that, like, the thing is inspirational. Once again, I'm not just trying to self-promote. I really am not. But it's like they are such inspirations to no-budget filmmakers because when you look at any of those movies, they're not much of a budget. And when I watched Spring, a lot of thing I noticed was like you can tell they definitely did a lot of drone shots. And there's a sequence where after she kills the one American tourist, and the next day you're seeing the blood in the alley, and as the camera kind of smoothly comes in, it just goes off the fucking balcony, and it's just like this beautiful wide shot of the city, and I'm just like, fuck, man, like that was a brilliant shot, but you weren't expecting it, and so, and once again, I mean, I'm a movie geek, so I'm watching, I'm watching, direction more now than ever, and it's like when you watch with these two guys, it's like, no, they're definitely taking the class.
They use their setting so well. Like, that's the one thing I thought about when I rewatched it recently, was just the whole time I was like, you guys really scouted ahead every single
Yeah.
spot because everything. They're the best at capturing cinematic, like as definition, cinematic movies that are just gorgeous without it being a Michael Bay lens flare.
Well, I mean, look at even like The Endless. You know, it's a
Yeah.
totally different setting. There's nothing really picturesque, but they are able to capture the beauty of it the same. You know, once again, it's just like it's just fucking the woods. It's all it is. There's nothing really. It's just typical woods, but it's like they find a way to make that look just phenomenal.
And they blend a little bit of CGI, just like the slightest bit of.
I will say there are.
things.
That's the only thing, and I've always said this though: if the movie's good, CGI can be horrible, and I'll let it slide. And there were certain scenes where you're just like, but
This is the first in the trilogy, though.
yeah. And like I was saying, no, it's like no, it was still it's just brilliant.
The
So.
least of their money, but I think what they do with it is they do it so small that even if it's not perfect, you're like, well, what would that look like in real life anyway?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They have a way of really weaving in these personal stories. Like I said, I don't know. You don't focus on it. Like, even, like I said, I'm watching it. I noticed it off the bat. I was like, all right, you know what? It's okay. It's bad CGI, but you know what? The story's still so good.
Yeah.
Off topic real quick before I go to my number two, the guy who plays his friend in the very beginning, Tommy, he's only in it for like a couple scenes. He's got a beard, always smoking and drinking.
Yeah, Resolution.
He was in, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Because
He's in all three.
he's also in a movie called The Battery,
Okay.
and it's actually his written and directing debut. Not great,
Okay.
but I love the dialogue. Like, the writing's brilliant. The movie itself is hit or miss, but it has that same kind of vibe. Like, it almost feels like an extension of these two guys.
Okay.
And you can tell it's that kind of, I don't want to say mumblecore, because I feel like this goes beyond mumblecore, but it's definitely that mumblecore horror vibe, and I love it. So I love this new wave of like indie horror films, literally doing very minimal with your stuff. My number two, we've already kind of discussed in details. We don't have to go all about it, but Shaun of the Dead. It really is the greatest horror comedy, and it's just like, once again, it has heart. And at the end of the day, I don't care. We mentioned Ghostbusters, how they're taking the horror seriously enough to where it's not just a parody or a farce or hey, waka waka, look at this. And I feel like Shaun of the Dead is the best example of that, because once again, it's hilarious. These characters are people you can relate to, and once again, anybody who's ever been in their early 20s and you realize you got to grow up at some point, you do have to try to be an adult, and you get that one friend who is just kind of like, no man, let's go party more. Just, it's like, no, you gotta be an adult at some point. And I think, unfortunately, I've been the Nick Frost character for much longer. I didn't turn into Simon Pegg until I was in my 30s, probably, but still, it was just very relatable. And then you add, when he has to turn on his mom, or just, the relationship. We've all been there. It's just all these different things come from a pure place. You can just tell, like, there was nothing thrown in there just to be cliched. It was like each of these problems were something that we've all dealt with at one time or another. It just has the backdrop of a zombie apocalypse with the funniest fucking people out there. And once again, the fact that it's British, it has that dry British. So even
that
people
bar
who
called
are
the Winchester. That was
Winchester, yeah.
Because they laid it, like everything. Yeah, okay. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna wait for it all to blow over.
Exactly. So, but yeah, Shaun of the Dead, that's my number two.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on Shaun of the Dead? We already shared, or
it's funny because Shaun of the Dead, I actually had that like at my number 3 spot for a little bit, but I bumped it for Dead.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, and your Shaun of the Dead is perfect. I mean, it is a perfect genre like blended film. I mean, because it's funny, it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's got like all the elements of a horror film as well. So, I think my favorite scene in it is whenever they act like zombies. Get to the bar, they're like, ugh. Now, see, in other movies, couldn't zombies tell if you were not a zombie? Like,
I know Walking Dead had a scene like that in the first season.
Like, could they smell you if you're
they had
not,
to cover
like-
yourself in the blood and guts and everything. So
It's been done a couple times.
Yeah.
in different
I
movies,
mean, that kind of was like, wouldn't zombies be able to tell if you were not zombies, just like acting like you're a zombie?
I just love the scene
I don't
after
know.
that when they're discussing it and they're like, you gotta look more dead. And they go to the mom and she's like, perfect. She's like, what? Like, she's already like haggard looking and everything, but it's just like, any other things about Shaun of the Dead you want to throw out there? Or?
It started my passionate love affair with Edgar Wright. It was my introduction to it, and then Hot Fuzz, and then Baby Driver, and even the parts of Ant-Man that he shot, which are amazing, and you can tell Edgar Wright's amazing. And I love Shaun of the Dead because Simon Pegg and Nick Frost got to be in Land of the Dead?
Yeah.
Land of the Dead. They got to be
cameo.
zombies in it, and that just made me so happy because it goes full circle. So I was really happy.
Was that
because
his
I
last
love
zombie
Land of the
flick, or
Dead.
was it?
No, he did a Diary Survival.
Okay,
or something
yeah.
else like that,
Zealand.
Survival.
There's a couple
some
different
were just
ones.
kind of like,
yeah.
But
Dude,
Land of the Dead
The
was like
straight to
perfect.
DVDs.
Yeah.
All right, you're number one, man.
Are we on my number one?
Well, you're number one. I keep shifting. That's why it's not just going circle over
okay.
and
It's
over.
not just straight up.
Yeah.
Okay. My number one is Mandy, and I think it's been on my list maybe a couple weeks now. But it's just so good because I feel like when I was watching it, it let me be free of genres in general.
Yeah.
Where it was like, all right, I don't give a fuck about what a genre is, what cliches are. I just want to make a movie that's really fun, entertaining, and is just gonna take you for a ride that's good. Because it's romance, it's horror, it's comedy, it's a psychedelic trip, it's whatever the fuck you want it to be. And that's what I loved about it. It's just 100% fun from start to finish.
Mandy was one of those that, you know, and I'm always the first to admit, and we've had this conversation numerous times, I've never been I have this love-hate relationship with Nick Cage. I just do. I think Nick Cage is one of the best. He is one of the best actors. Watch Adaptation. How he did not win an Oscar for Adaptation is beyond me. I don't know who won back in 01.
Adrian Brody for the
Fuck Adrian Brody and the Pianist.
For the penis.
Really? That's ridiculous. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. So right there, that just explains it. So no, he is one of the best actors, and he can do anything. Like he can do, like when he did Kick-Ass, how he plays it that way. When he does, you know, fucking Face Off. When he does The Rock. I mean, he can play anything. But then he just does. Mom and Dad was brilliant. I loved him in Mom and Dad. But then he does certain movies where you're just like, come on, Nick. It's just like, it's not so much him. I think it's script, and maybe certain directors just know how to rein him in. I don't know.
It's
I'm trying to.
It's not him. He's perfect.
And
You know, you did a poll thing on the best Nick. You know,
Yeah.
and the last two was Leaving Las Vegas and Ghost Rider. Right?
yeah,
And
I
Ghost
can't
Rider
remember,
won.
but did Ghost Rider win?
Yeah, so that's such bullshit.
And
man.
how did The Rock not win?
How did Face Off rate?
But my vote was for Leaving Las Vegas because that's an excellent movie and an excellent book too.
Never watched it.
But really, Mandy should always win.
I mean, that's the thing. But with Mandy, when I watched it, I just got to watching Mom and Dad. But Mandy, and I do hate that it came out so close. They came out the same year, and within months. Mom and Dad's a great film, but it doesn't get the recognition, I think, because it gets overshadowed by Mandy.
Well, it's not as classy as Mandy.
Well, I will say, no, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Mandy's definitely better directed, and honestly, I think from a directorial and even a visual standpoint, it's much better. I won't deny that.
And story.
But I feel like Mom and Dad is such a simplistic, great, you know, just bare bones, no explanation. Parents go crazy, trying to kill the kids, and the fact that the way he plays is great. But anyways. But as I'm watching Mom and Dad, I'm just like, holy shit, like Nick Cage did a movie in the past 10 years that's good. Fucking A. And then everybody's like, Mandy. And I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And I watched it, and the trailer looked decent. I was like, all right, but it's just like, I'm not pushing it. But this guy was all about Mandy. And at this stage, I come to really respect his opinion. Because even when we first started talking, you know, he's like, all right, you have good taste. But then we knew how to like, Josh, check out this movie, you'll like it. Like, even if I'm not huge on it, I know you'll like it. And he was doing the same to me, like, you know what, this is a Daniel movie, this is, you know. So and so when he was just like, watch Mandy, I knew not to question it. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll check it out. And I'm glad I did, because it really is just, it's fantastic. And like you said, there's really, I don't even know what genre I have in it. It probably is in my horror section, but it's just like, fuck, it's so...
I think it should be in the orgasm genre.
Yeah,
it's just
cosmic.
masturbating constantly. It's like a cosmic masturbation of goodness.
And it's just like, you know, his supporting characters do really good, and it's one of those things where I think it's always a good sign when your supporting characters are so good that you want to see him more, but you don't see him more. I feel like Richard Brake's character should have had more going on for him. Bill Duke, who's never really been a great actor, I just love him from Predator, and he did Action Jackson, so it's
Richard Brake.
Jackson. And so anyways, but Bill Duke, just seeing him as like, you know, an old Vietnam buddy of, you know, Nick Cage, I really liked it. And I forget the guy who played the cult leader, but he did a really great job too. So it's just like, I don't know.
Richard Brake, I've always loved Richard Brake. You know, do you remember him in like Halloween 2? He was like the ambulance guy. He was the one talking about like having sex with like corpses
and everything, yeah.
I'm just like, okay, all right.
He was Doomhead in 31. That's what won me over. Honestly, I didn't care for him much in Halloween 2, but in...
and he was also in like a Game of Thrones too.
I never watched Game of Thrones, but everybody told me that. So whenever I was like, Richard Brake, they're like, well, yeah,
played the Night
Richard
King.
Brake, like, Game of Thrones, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But for me, 31... And even Free From Hell, I really dug him in that. And then he was Joe Chill, of course, in Batman Begins. So, you know, he's always been around.
I forgot about that. Yes, he was.
So, I mean, he's always been a solid actor, but...
Absolutely.
One honorable mention, real quick.
Oh yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai and Journey Through the 11th Dimension. I love that movie so
I've only
much.
seen it
Honorable
once.
mention.
It's been so long ago.
It's so funny if you love rock and roll music.
Yeah, my older uncle, and that's who I credit for giving me this taste. Because like when I was a kid, like all the movies I watched, the ones I didn't discover on my own was from my two uncles, and I had one uncle who was definitely more on the darker side, but he was into like the weird stuff. So like Mike Cronenberg,
Weird porn.
Phantasm, fucking Kubrick was all from him. And then my other uncle was definitely the teen sex comedy and action. So it was just like I had both sides of it,
Right.
and that helped kind of form me today. But anyways, he loved that movie, and I just remember watching it just once, going like, okay, like I didn't. I was a kid when I watched it, so I can't really give it a
You
fair
need to watch it
review.
again. It's so so funny. It's
Anyway,
so
yeah.
weird.
But what do you think of Mandy? We didn't get your opinion on Mandy. What did you think of Mandy?
I like Mandy. For me, it's more on visual than it is story.
Okay.
I mean, at least in my opinion.
So you feel like it's definitely more style over substance then?
Yeah, I mean, but it's definitely good.
Okay.
I mean, I like the psychedelic, like colors and everything in it. I mean, yeah, but the story of it, I mean, it's okay. I mean, but it's definitely a beautiful film for sure. So.
What's the director?
Cosmos Panatos.
And he did the Black Rainbow, right? Or
Yeah.
Beyond
Beyond
the
the
Black Rainbow?
Black
Yeah,
Rainbow.
I still need to see that. I keep saying I'm gonna watch it.
That was a required for. No, it wasn't.
No, wait, no.
required
You just
for-
told me spring.
That's more of a sci-fi
Yeah.
movie, right? More or less. I mean,
No. Well, no.
Does it have genre blending as well, or is it?
It's.
Or is it kind of like Mandy, where it's just kind of?
It's Mandy, but it
Out
goes
there.
more in the psychedelic horror side
Okay.
of things. I would say that it doesn't do some of the action, or it doesn't do action, and it doesn't really do very much.
Did this
fun
guy
stuff.
do The Void too, or is that someone different?
No.
Who did The Void, or does anybody know?
I don't think the Void is a big guy, but let me look it up real quick. Let me find out.
Well, as we're doing that, I'll go to my number one, and I go Alien. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Sci-fi horror. And like I said, I think I mentioned this last month. Alien is in my horror section, whereas Aliens is in my action, and Aliens 3 and 4 are my sci-fi. And it just feels like those just feel right to me.
Steven Kostansky
who is
and
that?
Jeremy.
I don't say that.
Kostansky.
No idea.
Yeah, I think these are nobodies that did the Void, but I heard good things.
I haven't seen The Void. I heard positive things, but I just haven't seen it.
Yep.
I've watched it, but I don't remember anything about it. I don't.
The trailer looked pretty cool,
Yeah.
but just one of those that just kind of slipped through the cracks. But
It was one of those movies that I think I watched it like in the theater, but I don't remember it too well.
It's
You know,
obsessed
I mean,
with triangles, which is very normal for.
it's Lovecraft
Anyone
too.
who's obsessed
It
with
has like
psychedelics.
fucking tentacles and
HP
shit.
Lovecraft.
Yeah. But no, so Alien, it's just one of those classic horror, and what I like about it too is like, not only was it, it's set in space, but to me, there's nothing science fiction really about it, except for a spaceship.
No, because it's just the future.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
all this,
necessarily.
exactly. It's
like
it's monster horror, it's creature
Yeah.
feature, so, and not just that, but it's also just the fact that, when they're in space, I just love that they use the haunted house tropes. They say it's a creepy area, and then they use the slasher body count. Like they literally people get picked off one by one, and I don't know. Alien just really is like one of the perfect movies.
That's something
Yeah.
I think movies lack nowadays is a slasher body count almost. I think most movies could benefit from having
We got away
killable
from
characters.
it. No, I agree. We got away from it, especially with
not enough.
horror art. You see, our horror art movies, art horror. That's what I'm trying to say. God damn it. It's early and it's fucking past noon. Anyways,
it's almost 2:00.
exactly. But no, with those, I feel like they're always more central character than those movies don't really have body counts because it's like, well, you only have like 2 or 3 characters in the movie anyways. But I agree. I like good old fashioned. Give me a group of people and just start slashing these fuckers up.
I think
so.
that's why Game of Thrones was so popular when it came out.
'Cause it was
They were
just-
like, okay, we'll kill some characters, and
We'll
it
kill some
benefits
people.
from being a book first.
Yeah.
Books are typically cooler
Like Game
anyway.
of Thrones, the reason why I watched it is because they chop people's heads off. It's also got like a lot of sex in it, so.
A lot of incest.
Steve,
I
right
Too
there.
much sex for me.
Well,
personally.
know.
I did not need to see anyone else fuck for a long time. If I wanted to
Well,
watch porn, I'd watch it.
Well, that's
Did they water that down toward the end, or did they stay pretty consistent?
It becomes less and less.
Ah.
Like
like in
It
the
was-
beginning, it's just like it's like
Once you
4
became a kid and they were
hours,
making money, they're just like, I'm not getting naked for you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Season 3 would be really important details to the story, and it'd be full dialogue, but they'd be mid-penetration. I'm like, I have never been able to have that sort of concentration on an everyday conversation.
Yeah, no,
while having
I think I agreed. I'd be like,
It was irritating for me. That's not realistic. Give me the dialogue outside. If you still want to do your sex, do it, but don't.
I know shows do that too, especially like
But
HBO
see,
shows.
I never liked the shows that indicate the sex is happening, but they never actually show it.
So
You
know
want
what
some
I mean?
full frontal.
That's what I'm saying.
You want
Put
some
it-
hung dong.
Put it all up there.
Hang
Put the-
that dong.
That's what I'm saying. Put the big tits and big dicks.
Thundergun!
You know, don't give me some watered down bullshit.
I mean,
okay? Don't give
my whole thing is, if you're going to do it consistently. Entourage is the same thing. In the first season of Entourage, it's just nudity,
that's
nudity.
I love Entourage.
And then by
Yeah.
season 7 or 8, they're just like, well, we don't need to do that anymore. We got,
There's still the occasional
that's
tits.
not, yeah, occasional, not
But like an
consistent.
Entourage, though, just think about that.
Entourage
I mean,
got classier. In a
That
good
was like
way.
real to life, though, because if
Yeah.
you're an actor like he was,
Yeah.
of course you're gonna be screwing everything. I mean, so don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
Vincent was settling down. You know,
Well,
Entourage is perfect.
well, like in
Better
the
than
movie.
Soprano.
Well, what was it like in the movie? He was
No, I haven't seen it. I'm not in the movie yet.
You've seen the Entourage movie.
I have
No,
not seen the
he's
other
not.
movie. I've not seen it. I'm up to like I'm one season away from
You've not
finishing
seen the
it.
new season.
Haven't seen the last season. I haven't seen the movie.
You gotta watch the movie.
I
Seriously.
will eventually.
You are lying. Seriously.
I'm not, yeah,
Nah.
right there.
Dude, I've been trying to
Seasons-
talk to him about the new Entourage.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I won't say anything about the Entourage movie.
So,
Alright.
moving back into Alien, what are your thoughts on Alien?
I love Alien. You know, there was a time a few years ago whenever I did the game that everybody would play on Facebook, like Make Me Choose, you know? And so people would put like movies up, like, you know, one person asked me like Working Girl or Fried Green Tomatoes, and I'm like, well, I'll make a Working Girl, I guess. But then somebody asked me Halloween or Alien, and I'm like, ooh, like, damn. I'm like, I'm gonna say Halloween, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alien is very good. I mean, it's, you know, it's a classic. It's
Yeah.
horror for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would say it's sci-fi for sure. I mean, you know, it's in space. I
Yeah.
mean, it's in, you know, so it definitely has the sci-fi like element to it for sure. But yeah, very good film.
Yeah.
A final girl that doesn't suck too. Like
Yeah.
a really
Oh,
good
yeah.
final girl.
I mean, it's one of those things where I've always said this too. Like, I've always seen, you know, with the Dark Fate that just came out, and with gender swapping, and they're like, we're trying to push female narrative. I'm like, you don't have to, because we've had great female action heroes that were believable, and really,
Some
Alien.
would say that's
she's-
sexist anyway.
But the thing is, like with Alien, I wouldn't really say she was a great badass chick. Yeah, she becomes in Aliens, but in the first Aliens, you know, the building blocks there. But it's like, yeah, she's always been one of the best. You know, Ripley's always been one of my favorite action heroes. You know, whatever. You know, you got it. I mean, I wouldn't even just clarify like, well, as a female. No, I'd put her up there with anybody. You know, say, I mean, she kicked ass. You know, you put her in a tough corner. And
It's
had to fight
so
out.
obvious that that's Ridley's like that's his in character, like Ridley. little on the nose. You making your protagonist.
He's like,
that
Ripley's
big.
gonna be the greatest one to survive everything.
And he's did it well. Like, I love a good female protagonist, and she is a good one. And it's not because she's female. There's no part of her story that's defined by
Exactly,
being female
yeah.
at all. It could have been a male.
Yeah.
And like, I think as a young person, I'm not sure I knew
Well,
which one was, like, if it was a boy or a girl.
Well,
and
I
it
think-
didn't matter.
Well, honestly, I remember reading somewhere that when they casted it, all the characters were written non-gender, whatever. It was just names, lines, that's it. And then they just did their interviews or the auditions, and then they matched it up with who was better for the role. And so, yeah, it was literally just written to be whatever. So, I mean, at any point you could have had 7 women on there or all men. It just came out like that, and then she just happened to get the lucky straw there. So Alien, what'd you think of?
I love Alien. Even going farther with that, a blended cast that's good and not done forcefully.
Yeah.
You got, I mean, it set the pace for every movie after. It's like they have every type of character,
Yeah.
and it's all based off of maybe Alien. Maybe there's another movie that did it well, but I think Alien sets the pace for what characters need to be in a movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And once again, about actually coming off like stereotypes, they all fit it great. They don't feel, they don't feel like one-dimensional either.
They're
That's the
not.
other great thing. Yeah,
They're
I
a
mean, really.
character, but they also all happen to be like a different race or ethnicity
Yeah.
or some thing, but that's not their quirk. Their quirk is their quirk.
Exactly.
And they just
Yeah,
happen
yeah.
to be
Just happen to be that way. Yeah.
Asian or black or.
Well, I mean, it's insensitive now or not PC now. But the old joke was if you were African American, you'd be dead in the first 30 pages. The movie or whatever. You're out early. But like here, I forget the dude's. Yepicoto, but I can't remember the
Wow,
name.
you forgot the black
yeah,
guy's
forgot
name.
his character name for sure. But anyway, he goes almost to the end. Like he's actually like one of the last guys to make it. So it's just like it threw all the
Same
standards
thing
out.
with what's the black hole ship.
This guy forgets the name too. Wow. Anyways, go ahead.
the black hole where it's on Event Horizon.
Okay, yeah.
Another-
Lawrence Fishburne, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I love
Another
Lawrence
genre
Fishburne in
blended.
that. Really good
masterpiece
job
right there.
Horror. That almost made the list, actually.
I honestly thought it
love
would be on
Event
yours, but I
Horizon.
figured if you had a top 10, it probably would be in the
It's
top 10. for
hard,
sure.
man.
Yeah.
This was a hard.
That's what I told
test.
him. I was like, honestly, it was like reshuffling and everything
It
else.
was difficult.
Blended is my favorite genre
Yeah.
of the movie because I hate specifics because genres aren't real. If you don't like outside of horror, if you don't like outside of comedy, I think you're a fucking jackass.
Well, I think that's the thing,
like,
too.
like other shit.
It's one of those things where, like, don't get me wrong, my heart will always be in horror, but it's like people will talk to me and they're like, "Well, you're a horror guy." I'm like, "Well, no, I love movies from all genres, man.
Yeah,
Look
of
at
course.
this thing, like sci-fi, western, war, whatever. I got
Comedy.
a little bit of everything. It's like you
Porn.
gotta, It's like you gotta like everything, So, all right, you're number one. I see over on top of the list. What we got going on
The
here?
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
And this movie here, it won Best Picture, the second horror movie to ever do so, because Silence, of the Lambs was the first one. And they don't classify this movie like it's horror, but this movie is definitely a horror movie. Okay, it definitely is a horror film, and it's got genre like blending because it's got drama, it's got the romance part of it too.
Oh, it's fantasy and
it's just so good, and I kind of gravitated towards this story just because I remember being young and being kind of weird, and all the girls kind of looking at me like I was that, and so yeah, it was just kind of whenever you watch movies like Swamp Thing and The Creature from the
Black Lagoon.
Yes, thank you. And you always want that girl to go with him. But she's not going to. But you want her to. And in this, even though he's even though he's a monster type looking character, I mean, this woman who she's not the most beautiful woman.
I think
but
she's pretty.
She is
Kelly
pretty.
Hawkins definitely has a.
She is pretty for sure. I mean, but she's not the most beautiful woman. But she.
Sally Hawkins, his views do not represent TPS.
No, Sally. If you're watching this, I love you. Okay, I really
She's definitely watching this.
I definitely
She's
love
one
you.
of the 24
I definitely love you.
stuff.
No. I mean, but she looks different than what she looks like in this movie anyway. I mean, but no, she. But yeah, it's just really such a good film.
Yeah.
Such a great film. It's just one of those movies that makes you happy, makes you sad. Yeah.
Shape of Water?
It's Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I've seen some reviews. I've
Yeah.
seen some clips. It looks really good. It hasn't made it onto my list because I didn't really care that much. I don't know. I don't know what it is because I like pretty much all of his stuff. I love Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, right? That's the other.
He produced it. He didn't direct it.
Okay,
That
okay.
was the guy who did Don't Breathe, but yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Crimson Pete.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that's that kind of fantasy.
Yeah. No, it definitely has a
Yeah.
Del Toro look to it.
Yeah, that just kind of, and I
Was
just,
he the executive producer
Yeah,
of that?
I just love it. I love his style.
Yeah.
And I love that he looks like Abe Sapien from Hellboy. And I maybe when I watch it, that's what I'm gonna be imagining the
Yeah.
whole time is that he is that character.
Or it's his cousin or something like that.
No, this is just before Hellboy.
First
Oh, gotcha.
But it's in a weird alternate universe where time doesn't make sense. It's okay. It works.
Yeah. No, I actually haven't seen it either. But actually, I do want to see it. It is on my list of things. But every year, I just have movies I'm going out to see, and it got released a little bit later, and it just got lost in shuffle. But the problem is,
it got released later because of the Oscars.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but the problem is, usually those late release movies, they get. I'm like, okay, I'll come out next month. But then at that point now, the new movies are coming out, and I'm like, shit, I can cop with these. So it's just unfortunate, it just got lost in, in spring was kind of the same thing. I remember wanting to see spring, but it's just it got lost in the shuffle.
You brought that up to
Yeah.
me.
Well,
you brought both of
you
them.
guys watch The Shape of Water, and you tell me if it's not a horror film.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure you're right. It probably has the elements of everything kind of blended in there.
Yeah.
But once again, Del Toro's great for that. Ones you mentioned also include with Devil's Backbone and Chronos and a couple other ones. He has a style to him. He has that adult fairy tale look to it, and that's how I look at his movies. His movies have always been like adult fairy tales. Once again, even if the protagonist is a
Man,
kid.
I'd love to see him do Pinocchio. Don't you think? I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
no, he'd kill it. He
we
would,
just
he
watched
would.
that trailer for Pinocchio. I don't know who's making it, but it's.
I didn't recognize his
it
name, but
is
yeah. Did you
dark-
see
it's
that? The new
dark
Pinocchio
looking.
trailer?
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't.
It's like a dark, yeah. It has
like a darker
I'm
version of
watching it, and I'm
Pinocchio.
thinking like, this is Del Toro, right? And at the
Yeah.
end, there's like a film
It
by
looks
someone
like
told
it.
me, like, what? And I'm like,
Is
well,
it the original story, like Pinocchio?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
like the original.
Yeah.
Pinocchio
well, all
story.
those old like grim fairy tales. I know it's not
Like the
grim
Wizard
fairy-
of Oz,
but they're
and
all
stuff,
like
yeah.
dark. They were all like they were all meant to be like cautionary tales. So it's like they're meant to scare children as opposed to
Yeah.
give you a lesson. So it's like I would love it. The thing is like. I don't know. That movie came out earlier this year. It's one of the few horror films of 2020 I haven't seen yet. That Gretel and Hansel, or whatever it is, the rebirth.
Dude,
And
I have to tell you,
yeah,
it's so freaking boring.
yeah. No, it looked bad, and I'm just like
it's so boring.
the look. And like I said, stylistically, I was like, well, they're going for that
yeah.
dark, but it's just like I don't know. When I saw the trailer, I'm just like, this does not look good to me at
It's
all.
just-
and I just
see,
didn't. I didn't watch it. Yeah.
Well, see, like my wife, you wanted to see it, so we got it at like Redbox, and that's whenever I told her, see, you don't get to pick movies anymore. See, you know, so.
I tried that, but I don't win, man.
I thought it was immediately kind of stupid just switching up the name titles,
Well,
like,
that was
especially at this time. It was just. I feel like you're
It
trying
just-
to poke a bear, and I
Yeah,
don't
it
care.
just-
That's what I'm saying. I always get stumbled. Once I Hansel and Gretel, but I'm like, shit, I gotta slow it down. It's Gretel and Hansel. Like that's what it is. Every time, it just
And that's
fucks
annoying.
me up every time.
I think
Yeah.
that's so
just
annoying
based
that I
on the
don't even wanna
title,
watch
yeah,
it.
I don't even want to see it. It's like that's the public domain title. It's not like anybody owns the rights to an old, whatever. So it's like, fucking call it where you want, but
You know what? I bet I'd have liked it. I watched the Witch Hunters one with Jeremy Renner, and I would almost guarantee that I liked that one better than the other one. I haven't watched the other ones. So
Yeah.
I'm casting a bit of judgment before seeing it. But yeah, I'd guess that I would probably like the other one better. As just action trashy as that one is. It was fun.
Alrighty, so guys, we just went for our top threes right
Did
there.
we talk about New Mutants?
We did. We
Oh,
already covered
I
it.
am
That
giving
was-
my thumbs up. I hope it's good. I really want it to be. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I don't, but yeah, we covered it already. So.
Yeah, well, his opinion doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
If New Mutants 2 needs a director when it comes out, hit me up.
Yeah, he's way to do
I'm
it.
really excited. I think it's going to be a good movie.
So that's all we got this month. We want to thank everybody out there for joining us again. And seriously, you guys have been awesome. This was, the last month's episode was highly rated, at least for TPS Productions. So we appreciate that. And like I said, we are now available on so many different platforms. So really, the main thing is, if you like what we're doing, share it, let everybody know what's up here, and that's it. You guys got anything else to add before we bell?
I'm good.
All right,
Everybody
well,
take care. Be
That's
safe.
it. So guys, we'll catch you next time. Oh shit! Didn't always run. Sorry. Hi. Thank you for watching that video. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to our channel. All that good stuff you do right here on YouTube, go ahead and do it. Check out our other videos. Go to our playlist. We got episodes of TPS TV, Journey Through the Dark Side. We got a new show coming out, the horror movie review with Daniel Richardson. This guy. And of course, our short film, Entropy. You can find all that and more right here on YouTube. And then check out, yeah, look at that. All of our social media right there. And we don't just, copy and paste like the same post and put it on all. No, that's ridiculous. 3 different platforms, 3 different posts. I mean, the behind the scenes stuff you see on Twitter will not be the same stuff you see on Instagram. So there you go, right there. So be sure to give us a follow and a like on all that right there. Keep up to date. Have you seen Unspeakable Acts yet? No? Come on. Pick you up the DVD right now. Links over there. Oh, yeah. It's only $7. $3 shipping and handling. And of course, if you've already seen it and you haven't seen the public domain dungeon yet, boom, $5 DVD right there. So 5 S&P as well. Or sorry, 3 S&P as well. So there you go. Do that. And if you got the spare change, you want to hit us up, donate a little bit over here to TPS Productions. Our Patreon is right there. Oh yeah. So that's all we. Oh my God, sorry. I'm getting fired, ain't I? Guys, that's all we got. Thank you for watching.